Welcome to our worship service as the First Unitarian Society of Ithaca, our first one since the pandemic that has people in the service. Here we gather, nurturing our connections, seeking inspiration, and embracing the changing season. My name is Suvanki, and I'm the Celebration Associate today. Thank you so much for joining us. It's really nice to actually have people out there. Whether you are the first-time viewer or have been joining us on this year-long journey of virtual church and now in person, we are so glad you're here with us. Please check our website for more information on how to create connections. If you'd like to receive updates describing opportunities for engagement, please email and request to office@uuithaca.org. Newcomers are especially invited to visit our website and complete a newcomer form on the home page. I have some announcements. In December, the RE program will be offering packets of physical activities to do at home for all families and children. In order to participate, you must register for your packet. The information on how to do so can be found in November newsletter, the weekly announce, and the weekly RE emails. Sign-ups must be made by this Friday, November 12th, and pickup will be available November 28th. The RE program could use one more volunteer for next Sunday, November 12th, to be with and supervise the children for a play date at the Cass Park Playground. Please contact our DRE, Emily Richards, if you're available. Edna Brown is here today to take photos for Breeze profiles. After service, please find Edna outside to get your photo taken. It makes it really easy if she does it, because then you don't have to try to figure out how to get into Breeze. Our service this morning is being live streamed from our beautiful sanctuary in downtown Ithaca and will be available for later viewing as well as on a YouTube channel. We look forward to seeing you at the live coffee hour that follows its service. If you'll join me with the chalice lighting. We light this chalice for the warmth of love, the light of truth, and the energy of action.
The opening words are adapted from the writings of the Universalist theologian Clarence Russell Skinner. Beneath all curious customs and beliefs, deeper than ecclesiastical creeds, more vital and basic than priestly rites, stands one impressive fact. Man and woman touch infinity. Our home is in immensity. We live, move, and have our being in an eternity. This magnificent assertion is our greatest affirmation.
Good morning, friends. Communal singing is one of the great joys of religious community, and we are all eager to be able to sing together again. The current UUA guidance is not to have any indoor singing, as we know that singing is markedly riskier than talking and most other interactions. And we want to make music here, together with you as community. So, we are asking all of you to please continue to exercise caution this morning by humming along through your masks to our hymns and meditations. Our first hymn is number 118, This Little Light of Mine. You can also join me in doing some sign language with your hands if you would like. I'll show you the signs. Please rise as you are able. build up a world. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Thank you. November has arrived, and this month we will be talking about holding history. We often think about history as something that happened long ago. We think about world-changing events and important people whose names are recorded in books that grace the shelves of classrooms and libraries. Or we think about people from the past who have directly impacted our own families or communities. And it can sometimes feel like we are removed from history as we struggle in this moment and look towards the future. But history is happening right now. Everything we do is creating history in real time. And today I want to talk about our history here at FUSIT, our recent history, the history we are making right now. Today is our final day with our interim minister, Reverend Tony, and we are filled with gratitude for our time together and saddened that he is leaving this community. We wish him well as we both continue on our separate paths and as this chapter ends and becomes a part of our history. And I want to lift up and acknowledge that this parting, like so many partings before, may feel confusing and difficult. You may be feeling all sorts of contradictory emotions and have questions that remain unanswered. And I think it needs to be said that sometimes it feels easier to shy away from things that feel hard, like this parting might feel hard, but it's always better to be open and honest about what is going on. It's part of the covenant we make with one another to speak openly and honestly. And I also want to say, it's okay. It's okay to feel tired of change. It's okay to wonder why. Why does it sometimes feel like this particular story for this community keeps repeating itself? Whether that's true or not. And are there things that we could have done differently, that we could have done better? And I would say to each of you, you are doing your best. We are doing our best. We are living in challenging times, and this community is not our minister. I miss Reverend Margaret. I will miss Reverend Tony when he takes his leave of us officially tomorrow. And I am filled with gratitude and hope, even now as we move into our 20th month of this pandemic, even as your leaders shift our focus to what this year will look like without a minister, to what it means to lean on one another and share our gifts to keep this community going. Still, I am filled with boundless optimism for our future and what we can accomplish when we are together. So today, I don't have a story, no book with pictures, no item in my wonder box, because we are writing our own story right now. We are holding our own history, the history of a people who do our best to live into our 8 principles, who draw from our 6 sources of wisdom, who covenant with one another to be our best selves and lift one another up with love and kindness when we stumble. And while we haven't been in exactly this position before, because no one moment in time is the same as another, even when there are similarities. We have faced challenges before. We have even had times where we moved forward without an active minister, interim or settled. This is our story. We get to both look at what has come before, to hold our own history, and we get to decide what comes next. We have an opportunity to write the next chapter in the story of this community. So, I will leave you today with these words of wisdom by Reverend Teresa Soto. In this community, we hold hope close. We don't always know what comes next, but that cannot dissuade us. We don't always know just what to do, but that will not mean that we are lost in the wilderness. We rely on the certainty beneath, the foundation of our values and ethics. We are the people who return to love like a North Star and to truth, that we are greater together than we are alone. Our hope does not live in some glimmer of an indistinct future. Rather, we know the way to the world of which we dream. And by covenant and the movement forward of one right action and the next, we know that one day we will arrive home. This is our home, and I'm holding hope close here, right now, for all of us.
Thank you so much, Emily. In a spirit of reverence, love, and care, we take time now to bear witness to some of the joys and sorrows of our community. We want to share those events that call for our prayers and support, our praise, and celebration. From Don Barber, Megan Barber and her family awoke Thursday night to their apartment on fire. Megan, Jonathan, and their son Jesse escaped safely in their pajamas. The building is a total loss. They are building their home now and will stay in Don and Rita's guest cottage until it is done in the spring. Our hearts and thoughts go out to them. And this, Tom McHugh died at home surrounded by his wife Kathy and their 3 adult children on Thursday after a courageous 20-month battle with cancer. They had a large family reunion in August at their home in Freeville. Tom was multi-talented, building, home inspecting, and from his heart, a dancer. He will be missed. And this from Kathy Hopkins. Carl Hopkins' sister, Nancy Merritt, passed away in Wilmington, North Carolina, on Monday after many years of Alzheimer's disease. She was a fierce mother of 4 and wife of Dave, creating a wonderful bluegrass band. We had many adventures and interesting years together, raising our young kids on the family vacation acreage in Wayland, New York. We will gather in Brattleboro, Vermont on Monday and Tuesday to celebrate her life. And this from Amelia Habacht. I am joyed by obtaining and starting a real job after 136 months of searching after my 2010 layoff. Our hopes are with you. For those we are holding in our thoughts, in our hearts, and perhaps in our prayers, let us call these names out loud into this community, into this space of healing and hope right now. We extend loving kindness to all in our world, and let us not forget to extend loving kindness to ourselves. Today, tomorrow, and beyond, let our hands be outstretched in kindness, and let us keep showing up to our lives and each other with an open heart, no matter what. Love and courage to us all. Amen.
It's another moment of silence to let all of those sorrows and joys settle in. Join me in the spirit of meditation. Man and woman touch infinity. Let me do this. Man and woman touch infinity. Creatures on this planet, we reach above and beyond what we know. We invent devices that enable us to see far beyond our physical reach and imagine even more. Our home is an immensity. We live, move, and have our being in a reality so real that it challenges us. It challenges us to be larger than we are. We live, move, and have our being in an eternity. Though our lifespans are brief, with the eons of existence, we know this reality, acknowledge it, and seek to understand it. We live and move and have our being, no matter how short or how long our reach in time and space, how much or how little of eternity we can experience. For what we do and what we know matters.
Our meditation hymn for this month, we will be learning part by part. This week we'll just start with the melody. It's another song from Heather Pearson, we had a song from her a couple months ago. I am finding my way, I am finding my way, I am finding my way back to now. I am finding my way, I am finding my way, I am finding my way back to now. I am finding my way, I am finding my way, I am finding my way back to now. I am finding my way, I am finding my way, I am finding my way back to now. I am finding my way, I am finding my way, I am finding
Each week, we take an offering to sustain the important ministries and programs of this congregation and its presence in Ithaca. The giving information will appear on your screen in a moment during the offertory music. Giving to the plate is important. It's a symbol of our gratitude for this service and our ongoing commitment to support the work of this church. So please take a moment to give either through the text option or the giving button on the home page of the website. The text number is in the order of service. Join me with the dedication in the order service. May these gifts bring about connection, inspiration, and engagement within these walls and beyond.
It is good to see people in here this morning. This ministry has been one that has been mostly remote, and that is a challenge. And in recent weeks, we've had some opportunities to do more that is face-to-face, so socially distanced, and to get to know each other better. And now it is time to head on our separate ways. Can everyone hear okay? Okay, good. It's just, go to the next stages of our lives together, as was mentioned already, and continue the adventure, the joy, the thrill, as one preacher put it, of life on this dear planet. I'm talking about acts of faith this morning. It is not a reference to the book of Acts of the Christian New Testament. It's just acts, things people do. I assert that our faith tradition, Unitarian Universalism, is a faith that is a basis for how we can live and act in the world. It is a faith for the different seasons of our lives, from childhood and youth to old age. It can serve us in times of struggle and times of celebration. In its openness to growth and change and new ideas, it can serve us over a lifetime, even if the beliefs we hold change. It is a faith we can act on. Now, my thoughts this Sunday, I want to be clear, are not limited to the present situation of religious or political liberals here in the United States, for whom, even 2 years later now, we remember the recently ended Trump years as a difficult season. In that time, I had a Muslim friend whom I knew through interfaith work. He was a naturalized citizen and a political and social conservative. One of my long series of friends who are registered Republicans. My friend judged Trump's election and administration to be perilous for his religious community, for Islam, and for his fellow immigrants. And his judgment proved to be correct. And my thoughts are not limited to political and social issues. Thus, I speak of faith that is possible not just in perilous times, but throughout our lives. But I warn you, I'm not speaking of easy answer beliefs, nor am I speaking about optimism. I have faith, but it is not simple or easy, and I have hope without optimism. So what do I mean by faith? I start with the common dictionary definitions, the first of which says, allegiance or duty to a person, fidelity, sincerity. Second, belief and trust in and loyalty to God, belief in the traditional doctrines of religion, firm belief in something for which there is no proof, something that is believed especially with strong conviction, especially a system of religious beliefs. Now, many theologians and preachers like me agree, these definitions do not constitute an adequate account of faith. For those like me, faith is not a specific set of beliefs. Faith may include beliefs, but faith is bigger than any single belief or set of beliefs. In his book, Growing Your Religion, the Unitarian Universalist minister and housing rights attorney Scotty Mclennan offers this definition. I quote, "Religion grows from heart as much as from head, and it cries out to fuse body and mind. Faith is an orientation of the whole personality, a total response. It's not just belief, the holding of certain ideas, which is a function of the mind alone. Beliefs can be expressed in propositional form to which the adjectives true or false may be attached. Faith, by contrast, may or may not include beliefs, but is much larger. It is the ability to experience the universe as meaningful." End of quote. Now, my personal faith is nurtured by such things as the ritual worship services as we have here at the First Unitarian Society of Ithaca and at my home church, the Community Church of New York. And believe me, these services are very different in style and approach. My faith is nurtured by study and meditation. It is nurtured by practices and worships that contain beliefs that I cannot rationally accept, but which nonetheless embody that solidarity of persons in human and world-sustaining values. Traditional Protestant and Catholic Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, and earth-centered religions all have something to teach me, even if I cannot accept or agree with everything any one of them teaches. If you look at reading 471 in the Gray Hymnal, you don't need to do it now, we're not going to read it, but I'm going to quote it. And take some time to look at it later on. "Unto the Church Universal," it says, "unto the Church Universal, which is the depository of all ancient wisdom and the school of all modern thought, which shall make of all sects, classes, nations, and races one global community. Unto this church and unto all its members, known and unknown throughout the world, we pledge the allegiance of our hands and hearts." This reading was arranged from the writings of a liberal Hindu from the early 20th century, Keshab Chandra Sen, a friend of the American Unitarian John Haynes Holmes. It is a statement of faith that I have recited many times, even while being unconvinced that a church universal can be a reality, or that church as a word make sense in a statement of multi-faith solidarity. One uses the word church sparsely when in a room, a gathering that includes Muslims and Hindus and Jews. Nonetheless, this affirmation is a metaphor for the good faith of many people of diverse religious practices and their aspiration and commitment to build together a better world in spite of the differences they have. The mission and vision of the Unitarian Society of Ithaca is more concrete, but also aspirational. Again, I quote, "Our mission is to create connections, find inspiration, and engage the world." And the vision of the First Unitarian Society spells it out. Again, I quote, "As the Unitarian Universalist presence in Ithaca, we envision ourselves as a vibrant, dynamic community. We cherish fellow seekers, nurture open dialogue and spiritual growth, and inspire action on matters of conscience, serving as a beacon of reason and hope in our interconnected world." And even though none of you have quoted those words to me in my few months with you, I have seen that you take this seriously. Now, I've already mentioned the Reverend Scotty Mclennan, who, as I told you, is a tenant landlord attorney and Unitarian Universalist minister, and now retired from the position of Dean of Religion at Stanford University. In his book, Finding Your Religion, he writes, quote, "Having faith means that our lives hold together and make sense at a deep level rather than seeming ultimately awry, askew, or absurd," end quote. Now, faith can be based upon or include specific beliefs about God and the nature of the universe. A mythological worldview can define one person's faith. A scientific worldview will define another person's faith. It is my position that a specific person's beliefs are not really as important as whether their lives make sense. They are not as important as how a person lives. 2 generations before Mclennan, the Universalist theologian Clarence Skinner wrote, "When belief takes the place of faith, creeds become paramount. When faith is dominant, deeds become the test." Not that faith is easy or that having faith makes life easy. The demands of faith can be great. Mary Jane Irion, a poet from the Lancaster, Pennsylvania area where I previously served, writes, "Faith is not making religious-sounding noises in the daytime. It is asking your inmost questions at night and then getting up and going to work," unquote. And this is how religious liberals, who are also political liberals, and not all religious liberals are political liberals, lived for the 4 years of the Trump administration, asking our inmost questions, fighting back gnawing doubts, and then getting up and going to work in the morning. But even now, with an administration more congenial to our liberal values, we still need to be asking our inmost questions, fight back gnawing doubts, and get up and go to work in the morning. The task is just as challenging in good times as in challenging times. So how do we live our faith? With strong faith, one not only struggles with deep questions in the middle of the night, one struggles with actual suffering and loss and doubts, and one gets up and goes to work in the morning. Just over 11 years ago, while I was serving as interim minister of the Unitarian Universalist Church in Meriden, Connecticut, my mother died on a Saturday evening, March 24th, 2012. After Mom died, I drove from Meriden to the Smiley Cancer Center at Yale Medical Center in New Haven, where my younger sister, Susan, the middle of my 3 younger sisters, was then an inpatient for the treatment of her lung cancer. I wanted to give Susan the word of Mom's death in person. Even in the hospital, because of her own serious illness, Susan reached into the bag on her bed and pulled out her little book of essential information. She was the most organized of all 5 of these siblings. The most organized. She found the phone number she was looking for and called the funeral home where she had already, with our mother, made prearrangements for Mom's cremation. I got to my apartment in Meriden at 2 a.m. Later that morning, I got up and I preached the planned sermon. I took the time during joys and sorrows to note Susan's death, but did not feel the congregation needed to be distracted from the work we were doing together. 6 weeks later, on another Saturday, May 5th, 2012, Susan died. After completing the arrangements, my older brother, our surviving sisters, and I left the hospital. Now, some of the members of the Meriden Church knew my sister Susan because she worked at a furniture store in Southington, the town next door. And some of them had bought furniture from her. And they also had met her at events at the nearby New Britain Museum of Modern Art, where during the time I was working in Connecticut, Susan and I would sometimes go together and have dinner and go to the museum together and have a good time because we both loved art. That Sunday, I announced Susan's death and preached the scheduled sermon. Faith is the way we live in the world. Some Unitarian Universalists resist using the word faith because of its use to identify belief without evidence, as if all faith were blind faith. But the faith of which I speak, the faith I know, is not blind. This is my faith. I am a humanist who recognizes and appreciates the spirit within which a faithful humanity, a diversely faithful humanity, lives. It is a faith of connectedness of persons known and unknown. It has held meaning for me even in times of suffering and loss. With strong faith, one not only struggles with deep questions in the middle of the night, and I don't know about you, but I still sometimes wake up in the middle of the night and start thinking about stuff that is very serious and sometimes even a little concerning. Not just questions in the middle of the night, but one also struggles with actual suffering and loss. One does the hard work of grieving because there's no way around grieving. There's no way around it. You don't pretend something doesn't happen. You just do what you need to do. And if that means getting up and going to work in the morning, that's what you do. Our liberal religion, Unitarian Universalism, puts the responsibility for responding to suffering and evil in our human hands. And there are some faiths, more traditionally Christian, that have also a liberal theology, even radical theologies, and put the responsibility for suffering and evil in human hands. Like the practitioners of Christian liberation theology and others with well-developed faiths, we Unitarian Universalists do not let ourselves or God off the hook. We do not deny the reality of suffering and evil in the world, but we are not overwhelmed. We support each other in facing suffering and evil. We sit with those who mourn. We perform acts of mercy for those who suffer. We do acts of justice that challenge the structures of evil in our society. This church and its members, in doing all these things, engages in acts of faith, in caring for each other and in caring for your neighbors. This church and its members engage in acts of faith, in work for peace and work for justice. Faith is not something given to us. It is something we choose to do. Faith isn't passive. Faith is active. I choose to do a faith in which the all-encompassing love proclaimed by our Universalist forebears that lives to this day is made real by people living love in its many manifestations, in care for individuals and in care for the world. My faith is made real by my actions. Your faith and my faith, how we each as individuals live in the world, how we responded to the perilous Trump years, and how we respond in less perilous but still uncertain years as we go forward. No time is really easy. All times make demands of us. And yet, whatever is going on in the world around us, life will go on. Jobs, child rearing, friendship, love, worship together, learning, birth and death, and all that is in life. My Unitarian Universalist faith is a faith for all the seasons of life. A faith that can live with danger and change, as well as with prosperity and peace. It can live with love, and it can live with loss. There is an old and common criticism that liberal religion, and in particular Unitarian Universalism and its affirmation of the essential goodness of human nature, cannot adequately address the reality of evil. I reject and deny this criticism. I believe that Unitarian Universalism can address the reality of evil because it recognizes that human beings are not always good. It is not a simple-minded kind of, happy-go-lucky world. It recognizes that human beings are not always good, that human beings are complicated. Human beings can do good and do evil. But we work to be good and to do good. With our faith, we can oppose the evil in the world. We can act to enlarge and spread the good in the world. Our faith accepts and welcomes people, whatever their strengths and weaknesses. And those will be different at different times of the course of any one individual's life. My faith, our faith that we share, Unitarian Universalism, is thus a faith by which we act. It is, as my colleague Scotty Mclennan puts it, the orientation by which we live fully in the world. In this day and in the days ahead, may the people of this church live fully and joyfully in this world. Amen and blessed be.
I invite you now to rise in body or spirit for hymn number 149, Lift Every Voice and Sing. And as a reminder, if you could hum along with me.
has born.
steady beat of not our weary feet come to a place for which our fathers sighed. We have come over a way that the tears has been watered. We have come treading our path through the blood of the slaughtered. Out from the gloomy past till now we stand at last, where the white gleam of our bright star is cast. God for weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, thou who hast by might led us into the light, keep us forever in the path we pray. Lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we met thee, lest our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee. Shadowed beneath thy hand, may we forever stand, true to our God, true to our native land.
We close with these words from the Reverend Theodore Parker. Be ours a religion which like sunshine goes everywhere. Its temple, all space. Its shrine, the good heart. Its creed, all truth. Its ritual, works of love. Its profession of faith, divine living. So be it. Amen.